Hey, you guys, it's Jerry Morgan with Code Blue Computing. Thank you so much for joining us today. What we're really talking about today is how to fortify your fortress, protecting your accounting firm, right? So we're going to do a quick little chat. Thanks for joining me for lunch today. We're going to do a quick little chat about this and really talk about why this is so important right now, regulations that are driving it, and just best practices that are driving it to protect your business, to protect your employees, and to protect your clients, right? So let's just dive in and really talk about what is happening in 2024 with cybersecurity and requirements for accounting firms. Okay. So really, there's a couple of things that have been driving regulations for our accounting clients over the last few years. One of them is upgraded requirements as far as IRS regulations. And then the other thing that has come into play over the last year has been the FTC safeguards rule, which also applies to accounting firms. And one of the things that we've noticed over the last year, as we've been working with accounting firms since the FTC safeguards rule went into play, is that most CPA firms that we're talking to are not completely in compliance with the FTC safeguards rule that went into effect last year, right? And there's really been some significant changes, really post-pandemic, right? That are affecting all professional tax preparers, and these additional requirements and regulations are something that every single owner of an accounting firm needs to be aware of, right? Uh, Again, my name is Jerry Morgan. If you don't know me, my name is Jerry Morgan. I own Code Blue Computing in Denver, and we've been helping accounting firms, CPA enrolled agents for the last 15 years, and we've been helping them with securing their practices, absolutely, putting together strategies for their data protection plans, but really efficiency and really just ways to help them grow their businesses through technology. All of these things are intersecting, and really together we've helped our clients overcome some of these hurdles over the last few years as far as compliance regulations that they have to meet for both for three entities: state of Colorado, the IRS, and the FTC safeguards rules. Kind of those three requirements. We've been helping folks meet those regulations, protect their clients, and grow their businesses, right? So, really, what is driving these increased compliance requirements for accounting firms? The number one reason is you're under attack, right? And the one thing I will tell you is this last tax season that we just popped out was particularly brutal. We really saw a lot of a smaller, 20 employees and under, really 15 employees and under, CPA and accounting firms that came under account. See, somebody's calling right now, but they're coming under attack, right? And specifically, what we did see a real uptick in email-based phishing attacks on accounting firms over this last tax season. We saw a real uptick in that as far as the volume of attacks that were coming in, and also the attacks that were successful. Right, we did see a real uptick this last tax season, and the reason that we're seeing increased attacks on accounting firms is the fact of the matter is that you hold the key to the personal information for your clients, right? You got their names, you got their birth dates, social security numbers, bank and financial data, right? You hold everything that's valuable to a cyber criminal, right? also known as the mother lode. I mean, you hold the keys to everybody's kingdom, right? So I want you to just think about it for a minute. How lucrative is it going to be for someone to hack into your network, your computers, your systems, however you're set up, right? How lucrative is it going to be for them to pop in there and steal the data for just your top 10 clients? Wipe those accounts out financially, right? I want you to just stop and think about that for a moment. I want you to think about how is that going to affect your business? It's going to be devastating, right? How is it going to affect your clients' lives, right? And guess who's going to be liable for that? It's probably you, right? So these are the things that, as we go forward, it's really important to be forward thinking about those types of situations, right? Because they're happening every day. So one thing that we've noticed that is required of accounting firms, that we've noticed a lot of accounting firms don't have in place, is a written information security plan, and that's to safeguard personal and confidential data. One of the reasons that the written information security plan is really important, first of all, those things that we do not plan for, we're absolutely going to fail at, right? We just will. But going through the process of putting the written information security plan into place, it really helps us thoughtfully put together a plan and think about areas where we might have holes, or think about scenarios that we hadn't thought about before. Secondarily, what is really valuable in the written information security plan, other than it's required, is that you're communicating with your whole team, right? As far as what the plan is, and when something happens, this is what they do, this is where they go, this is who they call, this is the process. Because the last time you want to be figuring that out, you don't want to be figuring that out on the fly, right? You don't want a bunch of people running around with their hair on fire trying to figure it out, because when you're in it, time is of the essence, right? So we need everyone to know exactly what the plan is, so they know what to do, not trying to figure it out as it happens, right? So that's why it's really important. Cybercrime is $1 billion industry, right? And this changing landscape and protecting your clients' information has got to be your number one priority. Many times as business owners, we've got like so many different hats we wear, right? We have so many different things that we're responsible for. But for an accounting firm, that has got to be your number one priority, protecting that data that your clients entrust to you, right? So as you go forward in this process, and as you start to think to yourself, well, what do I need to do? What are some of the first steps to increasing security around my business, or even making sure that I have the security in place that I should have in place, number one, but that I'm mandated to have in place, right? What are some things that you should do? Well, first and foremost, one of the most important things to do is designate a team within your organization that's responsible for information security, right? These aren't necessarily the folks that are going to do the work, right? But this is the task force, right? That is going to go through the process and, and make sure that you guys are going down the right path, and that you guys have thoughtfully looked at all of the things that are required, and you either have those things in place, or you have a plan to get those things in place, right? So get that team, that team organized for your company. Get a third party assessment of your organization, and really this is something that you should be doing regularly, really according to the FTC safeguards rule. You should have this done at least annually, Some companies are doing it a few times a year. It really depends on your security framework, who the people are in play, the size of your organization, but at least annually, you should be getting a security assessment as far as where you stand right now, right? And then that's where you get the recommendations as far as increasing those layers of security around your company, right? Um, the other thing that you're going to want to have that team working on is really implementing safeguards to monitor and test your plan. If we have a plan that we're never revisiting, that we're not testing, that's not effective. So we've got to really get some safeguards in place to monitor and test the plan, right? And then you want to make sure that you've got a relationship with a cybersecurity provider, right? That's going to regularly monitor and communicate with you on those cybersecurity measures. And really, like we talked about before, test that data security plan. So the landscape has changed. It's changing constantly. And like we were talking about earlier, really post pandemic, the speed at which things are changing is just significantly different than what it was before. And really, what we talk to clients about all the time are what are all these different threats that we're facing, right? What is ransomware? Really, most companies are aware of ransomware that's typically received through an email that comes into your organization, and someone opens an email they shouldn't have. And really, in the cyber attacks that we saw on accounting firms over this last tax season, that's what we saw. When you've got team members that they're under the gun, right, and they're trying to meet their deadlines, and an email that comes in that seems like it needs to be dealt with right away, it looks pretty good. That's when folks get into trouble, right? So really, that's typically how ransomware is delivered. What has happened over the last year that's a little bit different, it used to be with ransomware, they would just lock down your systems, and they were just wanting a ransom paid to regain your access to that system, right? To decrypt the files, if you will, right? What has changed over the last year is what they're doing now is they're actually taking the time to steal that data that you hold. So maybe you have the first ransomware request, which is just get me back in, right? But then you get a double whammy, and then they're wanting you to pay again so that they don't do anything with all of your client data that they just stole, right? So that's a little bit different over the last year. We've talked about phishing. Really, what's spear phishing? That's really when the cyber criminals are taking the time to identify, right? That find specific targets that they feel are going to be prime to fall for one of their attacks, right? So they're taking the time to be diligent about it, to try to be smart about it, right? Credential stuffing. This is another one that has become significantly more impactful over the last few years. And really, what's happening there is we have employees that, if they're left to their own devices, they're going to use the same password over and over and over everywhere they go, right? But what happens over time is you have passwords that have been obtained through other breaches, right? But we've got folks that are doing this credential stuffing, Office 365, banking accounts, credit cards, what have you, and they're just constantly putting in these passwords, and eventually they hit the right account on the wrong day, and maybe they have access to your Office 365 then, and maybe you don't have as many stop gaps in place for for confidential files, or you don't have multi-factor authentication in play. So there's many different things that can happen, but that's why these policies as it relates to security and thinking thoughtfully about, yeah, people don't like having to change their passwords, or they don't like them having to be um, longer strings and difficult, and that it's hard for them to remember, and they think it is impeding their work and slowing them down. There's a lot of things to consider across the board with these types of situations, right? But again, credential stuffing, is a big point of entry into accounting firms. And I really want you to think about, when was the last time you brought somebody into your organization to conduct a security awareness training for your staff and for you? And the answer is probably never, or I can't remember when, or, we're too busy, whatever it is. But the thing is, for anything that we do within our business, we have to help our team be successful, right? And this is just another thing. If you don't provide training, if this is not an ongoing conversation within your organization, if this is not something that you do, eventually it's going to become an issue. We have to provide the training for our team to be successful here. And this is a really important part of your business where it's really important to be successful, right? So what are some things, as you start to put your plan together, or you start to think about the layers of security around your organization, what are some of the things that you need to start looking at, right? If you all work out of the same physical location, you're going to be looking at your firewall, for that physical location. If you have a hybrid environment, or if you have an environment where you work remotely, or some folks are remote, or some folks aren't, you're going to be looking at virtual firewalls, right? And with that, we want to be able to be respectful of kind of where our team wants to work. But at the end of the day, we have to protect that data for our clients. So virtual firewalls will help us will help us do that, right? Making sure that you guys are using multi-factor authentication everywhere. Office 365, Google, banking, social media, wherever you can enable multi-factor authentication, you're going to do it. And it's going to be really important that that's a policy in your organization, that everybody knows, yeah, we're doing that, and that you are being diligent in confirming that that policy is being followed across the board for your organization. I really want you to think about the types of accounts that you have access to for yourself and your clients, right? You're accessing, payroll for your clients. You're accessing their bank accounts, their financial records. Many times you're logging into their systems. It's super important to lock things down in your organization, right? And those are the reasons why. There's a lot at stake, right? We want to be sure that you're backing up your data regularly, and we want to be sure that those backups that are being run for your organization, that they're being tested, right? You don't want to find out that you had an inefficient backup, or a backup that was having errors after the fact, right? You really want to be diligent in those backups for your organization. Encrypting data, right? Especially in accounting firms, what we find a lot of the time when we go in is you have to download a lot of documents, right? So when we go through and we do a cybersecurity assessment for an accounting firm, we'll find many times so much information is just like hanging out in those download folders, right? They've got bank statements, they've got tax returns, they've got payroll reports, what have you. So there's a lot of information that's just kind of hanging out. So we want to be sure that we're encrypting data in transit, right? When it's being information is being transmitted, right? But we also want to be sure that we've got that data encrypted. It's called at rest. That if someone were to walk off with a laptop for your organization, that information on that laptop is from the book of who cares, because they can't open it, they can't decrypt it, so it's really important for that perspective to make sure that everything's encrypted. If you have a physical location, that you still have a physical server, making sure that RDP, the remote desktop, is not open to the internet, right? And while we're kind of going through this process and identifying where there may be holes, or where we may be out of compliance for what's required for us, don't forget to put together a data theft recovery plan as well. It's like, while you're doing this, just get it all done. And so if you're putting a plan in place, what is that going to look like? It's really creating a way for your team to identify what it looks like when data has been stolen, or when your network has been accessed, or client data has been viewed. But really recognize what that data theft looks like. The thing that is most important, and this is why we create these plans, is you have to act quickly. You have to act quickly, and so you have to report data theft quickly, right? And then, depending on the scenario, how large the theft might be, you're going to report that to your local police department, right? And you might be directed to report it to the FBI or the Secret Service, definitely the IRS, right? But definitely get those plans in place so that everyone knows what to do when it does happen, right? So why do you care about all this? Well, it's the law. It just is. And there was a report that I saw last year that said 42% of CPA firms that have been hit by a cyber attack, they've reported that it cost them, like, their personal and business reputation. If you think about it, the relationship that you have with your accounting firm, it's pretty intimate, right? They've got a lot of information, and you are trusting them. Your clients are trusting you with that information and to protect that information. So when something happens, that the trust is broken, right? And at the end of the day, taking the time to really secure those layers around your business, and around your business network and your personal network, it's really going to be taking those steps to protect your business from hackers, and having a plan in place. Those are the things that are ultimately going to keep you in business, right? And what we always tell our clients, it isn't if you're going to be hacked, it's when. And when we meet with new clients, I will tell them, I will never tell you that I 100% can protect you from a cyber attack. I can't. Any IT company that comes in and tells you that, they're not being truthful, right? The truth is that cybercrime, it's an industry, right? And it's growing, and it's picking up speed, and it's not slowing down. And it is mission critical to make sure that you have a data security plan in place for your company. And that is definitely not a set it and forget it. That's a living, breathing document. We're looking at it regularly. We're adding to it. We're removing things. We're making changes. We're adding additional levels of security. But that data security plan for your business is imperative. And it's the law. Like, you're required to do this. So the time when you could not have that is long gone. You're required to have a strong data security plan in place to protect your clients, to protect your employees, and ultimately your own business, right? Those are all equally important layers of our business that it's our duty to protect, right? So I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, how is having a data security plan going to help protect my accounting practice from hackers, right? And the truth is, hackers work, they work remotely, right? They work remotely for sure. And they're working 24/7, 365. They don't have any boundaries. And cyber attacks have become the norm, and they are costing businesses thousands and thousands of dollars to recover from every day. And it's not a far away thing. It's businesses right here in Colorado, people that you know, right? And according to a recent FBI report, the average cyber attack is going to cost a business a 400 grand, depending on the severity of the attack. And there's many different layers that go into that dollar amount, right? There's the initial investigation, right? There is, what does it cost you to try and regain access to your data? There's the cost of many times that data doesn't come back in the state it was, so really building your systems and your network and your information back up. There's a cost associated with that, right? On the client side, depending on the severity of the attack, you're going to be responsible for paying for identity monitoring for your clients for years to come. You're going to have the cost of lost business. There's a lot of different things that fall into this, but it is heartbreaking, and it is expensive, right? So I want you to think about your business. Is your business at a place where losing 400 grand and your top 10 clients is not going to be a huge hit to your business, or potentially a business ending event? I want you to really think about it. You're not just losing money, you're losing your reputation as a business owner that protected the data for your clients, right? If you do have a situation, you want to be in a place where you can tell your clients, show your clients, all of these steps that you took to protect their data. You don't want it to be like, you want them to be able to see that you did everything within your power to protect their data, that you had, layers, and that you were regularly looking, that so you took that responsibility seriously, right? So a lot of times when we talk to a CPA firm, they'll say, this feels overwhelming. I don't know where to start, right? So what we did for our clients is we went through and we created a safeguards checklist, and you can use this to ensure that you're falling within the federal compliance requirements for data security laws for accounting firms, right? And this checklist is literally going to save your business from chaos. When a situation happens, when there's an incident, it's chaotic, right? And this checklist is going to help to save you from that chaos, right? It's going to allow you to start to protect that data that you hold for your own business and for all of your clients, right? And we spent a lot of time building this checklist out for our clients to help keep you in compliance, and hopefully at the end of the day out of trouble, right? So what this is going to do, it's going to get you in compliance with the IRS and with the FTC safeguard rule that is mandated for accounting practices, right? And what I always like to tell people, it can feel overwhelming to start to look at this, but we're always here to help, to be a resource for you. And I can't even tell you how many times we've been able to help our clients through educating themselves and educating their employees, helping them build those layers around their business, and at the end of the day, helping them to grow their business and ultimately create success going forward, right? So, again, my name was Jerry Morgan. I appreciate you joining me for a half hour at lunchtime today, just really to go over ways that you need to get in compliance for your accounting firm, and just to start protecting your business a little bit better, so that you're able to sleep at night, right? We will be sending out that checklist to everybody that registered for the webinar today. If you are watching this in the replay, if you're joining us live on one of the social media channels, just shoot us a quick message. We're happy to send that checklist out to you. If there were things that we hit on today that you have questions on, or you're just looking for someone to bounce some ideas off as far as creating that additional security around your business, I want you to shoot me a message. I'm happy to be a resource for you. So it was great talking with you today, and you have a great week, and I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.